And here we are again. Today's the 23rd day, our 365-day personal transformation. We're covering James Allen's Man Thinketh, Chapter 4, Thought and Purpose. Now, I would diverge with James Allen on this point. We both agree that until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. And this point with the majority, the bark of thought, meaning a boat, is allowed to drift upon the ocean of life. Now, where we disagree is the next sentence. Aimlessness is a vice, and as such drifting must not continue for him who would steer clear of catastrophe and destruction. In a decade's worth of study, since I did Go Thunk Yourself, there's a point of releasing, which we'll get into later, some months from now, but the shorthand of it is you just have to see something for what it is and let it go and allow it to drift off and not bother you. I don't know if I've covered this particularly, but there's 97% of the world out there is it's quite a scene. You could say that they're here for just entertainment, and they do have a purpose after that function is to live a comfortable life, and that's as far as your purpose you're going to get. It's just the way things are. 3% of the population between 1 and 5 will attempt to lead, will actually go out and become the leaders, and they will end up controlling most of the money and have all these powers and everything like this. Not that they necessarily want them. Now, you got the same amount. These are ones that are working for good. The ones, the same amount, 3% on the other end, are totally hell-bent on destruction. And pretty much these two things balance, the two forces balance each other out. The bottom end actually tends to get sick because they're destroying themselves at the same time they're trying to destroy everybody else. So overall, good tends to win out, and so the world tends to get a better place slowly, bit by bit. Anyway, but these are within that range is all your purposes you could have. You have the top end, which has this really high, stellar purpose to make things a lot better, and the destructive purposes. And in the middle, this huge middle ground, the hump, as it were, the bell curve, is people that are really more or less living in shades of gray, shades of, somewhat better, not so much better, going back and forth, and generally having a life that's like, they like to buy things, they like to have things, they live in a very material universe, and that's completely fine. This is where our automobiles are made by people in factories and bought by people who go to other jobs, and it's a whole mechanical thing of how things set up. It's not necessarily what runs the whole universe, but you and I know from your watching this that this is just the way it is. That the spiritual side, there are spiritual laws to things, and that actually runs everything per se, but the bulk of society is not going to even look for these things. They're not interested, and that's where our modern news comes from, our politics comes from, our everything, that the general run-of-the-mill life livingness is just completely that way. It's like not to worry about. But he says a man should conceive of a legitimate purpose in his heart and set out to accomplish it. And he goes on further that if you really push on this thing, if you really adopt a firm purpose, then you'll achieve a greater strength. You conquer doubt and fear and all this other things. I would say it's simpler to that to find your purpose. And your purpose is anything that makes you feel good all the time, that you could talk about endlessly, that you're fascinated with, that you just love for what it's, you would do that forever. Like getting paid to play baseball, right? And Earl Nightingale covers it as a river of interest, something that just flows and flows and flows. He says the goals people and the river people. The river people just keep going, and the goals people will go after a goal, accomplish it, set up a new goal, accomplish that, set up a new goal, accomplish that, so on and so on and so on. And both of those are forms of purposes. And all you have to do is figure out what keeps you fascinated. Now, Steve Jobs was recently quoted by saying that he was told a long time ago, early in his life, that you should live each day as though it were your last. And so he really took that to heart and said, is this what I want to wind up doing? Is this going to improve? Is this a goal worthy of me? Would I like to, if you're going to die with your boots on, is this what I want to wind up dying in my traces, as it were, doing this? So in that, you can take these different ways to look at what your purpose could be and just simply find out how this is. Then, once you do establish your purpose, then you can apply Napoleon Hill's burning desire and put everything behind it and so on and so forth. And then you'll start seeing, once you have a purpose in mind, once you have a purpose laid out, then you can focus on that more carefully. This is your focus point. And then you will then, all these doingnesses, all the actions that you need to be doing will come to you as inspiration, and then you'll be able to do that, and then your happiness or what you want to achieve or acquire will then show up for you. Okay, it's really simple, and I hope you do get a hold of James Allen's book and read it. But for now, thanks.